This episode of Times 2 Review is brought to you by Club XXX, the Discord server for gamers who strive to achieve extreme excessive excellence, and the official Discord server for the Times 2 Review. Find new games to play and new friends to play with in a new and growing community. Link found in the description below. Developed by Smilegate RPG Entertainment and published in the West through Amazon Game Studios, Lost Ark is an isometric action MMORPG game whose popularity has shot through the ranks of Steam. It's a game that takes some of the best features of isometric action games like Diablo and Path of Exiles and combines these features with some of the best features of MMORPGs like Albion Online and Lineage 2. It was originally released back in 2019 to the Korean and Russian populations and gained a huge following due to its ability to push Unreal Engine 3 to its limits with some absolutely jaw-dropping and gorgeous visuals. Because of its huge popularity in the Eastern continent, game players were hungry for a taste of this game, and in the West, many players used VPN so that they could connect to those Eastern servers and experience the game for themselves. It wasn't until Amazon Game Studios stepped up and offered to publish the game in the West that finally gave players in the US and Canada the chance to see the game for themselves. But the real reason for Amazon Game Studios doing this was because they were desperate to have a winning title under their gaming studio roof. Although Amazon's New World launch was considered a success, Amazon was unable to keep their player base for the game due to the gross mismanagement and poor programming that left huge exploits that ruined the game. So the question becomes, does Amazon finally have a game under their gaming roof that is actually good? Or is the hype for Lost Ark only temporary and ultimately sending Amazon Game Studios back to the drawing boards? Let's find out together in today's Times 2 Review. And it's time for another Times 2 Review. Hey guys, I'm EXTERMICIDE and I'm here with my brother Vladis.
That's it.
I can't freaking spit out your name tonight for whatever reason. And tonight we are getting ready to play Lost Ark. Gotta ask, have you played this?
Yes, I have 61 hours in Lost Ark before I logged in today.
61? Jesus Christ.
61 hours. I've been playing it kind of casually too. Like I usually go pretty hard. And I think I did go pretty hard the first couple of days. But I wasn't really doing like a lot of the end game stuff. I believe my main character is item level 498. So not like too high or anything like that. I've just been doing stuff in the game that I've never done before, like the naval stuff. I've never played a MMO that actually had a naval system. So been doing a lot of that.
All right, well, let's dive right into this. Clicking that enter button now. And first things first, we have ourselves 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 classes. Okay. Although gunner male,
sort of.
Gunner female, and martial artist male and martial artist female, assassin and mage and warrior seem to be gender locked. So, yay, I don't understand why anyone would attempt an MMO these days and gender lock
those game, Koreans, guys.
So, two things I actually see here is you get an advanced class preview where it actually shows you what your character can do and the 3 different subclasses for that particular character. In some cases, it will only be 2 subclasses. Overall, I think there's 14 total subclasses in the freaking game, so this is actually pretty freaking interesting. You also got a view story button, and each of these characters has their own little cinematic freaking movie that explains that particular class, so I am not gonna watch any of those right now. I've already watched them all, watched them on your time, but just giving you a freaking idea. Let's create our freaking character, and real quick I'm just gonna go assassin, So this is the character customization. Oh my god, I gotta freaking say, the models look outstanding. Although this is a top-down looking game like Diablo from a distance, so I really don't understand the whole concept of spending a lot of time in a character customization for this style of freaking game. I don't get it. I don't see anyone ever being that close to you to actually look at all the detail that you put into your freaking character.
You're very right on that. It's I believe this game is run on Unreal Engine 4, but you're always never. I mean, it's isometric, so you're not really being able to like go in. You have to really zoom in, and if you're in a town or whatever, control click and actually inspect their character. So it's not something I would spend a lot of time on, but it does have the character customization does have plenty of options compared to a lot of other MMOs.
All right, character name Extermicide, and I accepted it. Blah blah blah. And there's my first character. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 character slots. That's pretty freaking cool. So right here on this page, you know better than me. Are you at the same page? Your character selection.
Yep.
Okay. Is there a store here to access, or is that later?
No, that's later.
Okay.
So right now, the only thing you can see is at the bottom, you see 1 and 2. Basically, if you hit number 2, it'll give you more character slots. But notice how they're locked. So I don't know if they're unlocked by buying them in the shop, or
Yeah, from what I'm reading,
what?
you got to buy a certain crystal that you convert to another crystal. Like, apparently, this game has something like 12 different currencies in the freaking game. It's like ridiculous.
It's a lot of currency. Yeah, it's a lot of currencies.
All right. So I am going to click my one and only character. What's a power pass, real quick?
Power pass is the ability, like, so whenever, if you got the Founders Edition, you can basically get 2 power passes when you level to 50. And a power pass is just a simple, like, you create a character at level 10 and you can power pass them all the way to 50. So you just hold down the left click and just run however you need to run.
All right, running across this beam of light. I love how this is all kind of floating in space and everything. Kind of reminds me of the map of Path of Exiles.
Are on the move again.
Oh yeah, and this is something like that I really love about what you're about to do here, because you have to select your subclass, but since you have a couple of choices, right? Well, technically you have 2, being an assassin, but you can literally test your class out right now and see if you like it. So, and it gives you all the ability.
What I was originally reading is that the game did start people off at level 1. However, now for the Western, we're starting off at level 10, and you get to pick your subclass now. Before, the way when this game was released in freaking Korea, which, by the way, I skipped over the whole freaking that part of the freaking thing. I'll get back to it in a second. But when the game was released in freaking Korea, it was you had to level up, and you had to earn your freaking skills, and then you had to get to level 10 to get your subclass. Guys, sorry that I skipped this part and everything, but this game was released originally in 2019 in Korea, very popular in Korea and Russia, and in 2022 released in the West, released in the USA. Publisher in Europe is my.com. Cringe. They don't have the most popular of opinions about them, and released here in the West by Amazon Game Studios. And I can almost say the same for Amazon Game Studios. So, developer Smilegate RPG Entertainment, and I'm not familiar with Smilegate at all. I don't know if this is their first and only game and everything, but graphic wise, this is absolutely freaking stunning. So Deathblade or Shadowhunter, I'm gonna go with the Shadowhunter.
That's my main, actually. That's what I have at 50 at level 498. So much fun. So much fun.
And then what, we click class tester. Okay. C is a basic attack. So does this thing have a, if you press and hold a button down, you actually charge it up? And then release a more powerful version?
So you'll see a little, if you do have a charge ability, it has a down arrow in black with a white line under it. That's a charge ability. So if you have that, then that means you need to hold that button down. So berserkers have whirlwind that you need to hold down. So as you whirlwind, you just keep whirlwinding until the duration expires. There's other ones where it's more of a skill shot, to where you have to push it, and then you have to push it again when a bar aligns perfectly. So there's different abilities that you have.
It doesn't look like I have any that do that. I just want to know if they actually have them. But I use this Destiny. Unreal Engine 4, you said, huh?
I believe so. I believe Lost Ark runs in Unreal Engine 4.
I'm really impressed with a lot of the, I guess
it did have a
particle
graphical
effects.
enhancement. They did do a like I remember them doing like an upgrade visually. So it used to look kind of the way you would think it would look.
Universal Troubleshooter achievement completed.
May Regulus bless the path you've
All right.
chosen.
Talk with this quest giver. Oh, your Destiny. Crossroads of Destiny. Quest complete. Oh, did I complete a quest? I didn't even do anything.
Now take your first step in the quest for the Ark.
So from what I understand, the Ark is split up into like 7 pieces throughout the world. You gotta collect them all or whatever to deal with the big baddies, which are demons and warlocks and anything that we pretty much know from MMOs to be freaking evil. It's saying, let's see, continue prologue, skip prologue. It's asking me twice. Okay. Because I'm a moron and you have to freaking ask me more than once if, are you sure you want to skip it? Yes. And instantly I get +1 wisdom and I get freaking this and I get freaking another title. And it's just, this game is freaking just throwing things at me saying, you're getting this and awarded this and more XP for this. And wow.
What it does.
They want to get that little, that adrenaline going like, okay, here's the one thing that's kind of bugging me as of now. I know that in the East, you started at level 1 and you worked your way up to level 10. You leveled up, you unlocked your abilities. And like with any typical MMO, you get a new ability, you start to use, and you learn how to use that new ability. So when you have all the new abilities all thrown on your bar at once, it's kind of a cluster, you know, it's a little overwhelming, it's a little confusing because you really don't know what all the abilities actually do yet. And I would have much rather them treat us just like they did with the freaking Eastern, you know, side of the release, you know, have us do that level 1, level 2, and unlock each of these abilities one at a time and learn them. I would have just preferred that instead of just being thrown everything, say, here, go at it.
Yeah, I think how I treated it was I spent almost 30 minutes in the class tester. And so I read every ability. I made sure that I had a good flow. I reorganized it to where it felt natural to me. But I think with most people, right, they just want to get in the game. So I don't think most people spend 30 minutes in the, you know, I would say the average person doesn't spend that much time.
Okay, I'm on the stairs. There, I'm right there next to you now.
Oh, okay. I was like, where are you? Okay, cool.
If I hit Alt V, I see my mount. I put the little star next to him.
And then you hit ride.
And I have to do that every time I mount.
So then you can click and drag your mount icon to, like, I have mine on number 9. So that way you don't have to go into the guide every time to click on your mount.
Gotcha. Choose, I'll take them all. Achievement completed just for getting off my mount. They're just handing out these achievements left and right. Wow, here, have an achievement. You just farted.
Basically. You'll get that in a little bit.
All right, so I see a quest right here.
Thank you for saving Father Armin.
So this part of it actually just kind of feels like your typical MMO. However, the keys don't feel like your typical MMO keys.
Yeah. It feels like you're playing Diablo or Path of Exile, but MMO style.
Oh,
The golden one is your main overall story objective quest to follow.
Flower shower.
Yeah, and then you just got to pick a flower, give it back to her, and you complete the quest. It's like super duper easy.
Where, like, one of these flowers that's right here behind her?
No, right here. Like, look at where my character is. So this little flower bed, you just click on the flower bed.
Really?
And so any...
We had to walk 2 feet to get the freaking flowers. She couldn't do that herself?
Yeah, I know. It's dumb. And then, so on your mini map on the right-hand side, the top right-hand, you'll see like little 1s or 2s, and it'll have like a circle radius, and those are usually where the objective things are.
So all these people that I'm seeing with text over their heads, these are actually real people playing right now.
Yes.
Okay. So one thing I want to freaking ask is, while playing, have you seen any kind of like spam for gold selling or anything like that yet?
On my server, I did, but they've been combating it, and I'm the type of person, anytime I see that, I just immediately report it. So, but yeah, of course, there's always going to be people like trying to sell gold and stuff like that. But from what Amazon says, they're doing their best to get rid of those people.
All right, you ready to score this?
I am definitely ready to score this.
All right. So we use our extended scoring system for this is what we normally use for MMOs, and it's 10 categories. We score everything on a score based from 0 to 10 for each. And we are going to start off with graphics, and I'm going to let you go ahead and kick us off.
Okay. So I guess Lost Ark being based on Unreal Engine 3, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I am very impressed that they were able to even push the graphics as far as they did, be it in Unreal Engine 3. It looks like I'm playing Diablo 3. It looks just incredible. Like, I love the way the world looks. So, I mean, again, it's not the best graphics in the world. I mean, but it's Unreal Engine 3. So being realistic, I definitely 7 out of 10.
Okay. I'm going to go a little bit higher than that. I am actually going to go with a 10. Graphic wise, I thought the cinematics were exquisite, well scripted and creative, and some were absolutely breathtaking. I thought the camera work was really done well. Just a great job capturing the action flowing around you. So yeah, for graphics, I am going to go with a 10.
Sounds good.
This is going to bring us to sound and music. I'll go ahead and kick us off with that one. I think the sound was actually pretty damn good. I thought the impactfulness of the abilities had that oomph that I would look for in the sound, and they just sounded good. I thought the ambient sound effects in the background were pretty good. I thought the music was actually okay. It did do a good job of capturing the feeling of the moment and revving itself up a little bit more during more dramatic scenes. Sound and music, I'm going to go with a 9.
Well, if I had to score just the sound, it would probably be a 9 too. But being combined with sound and music, I'm gonna give it a 6. So 6 out of 10 for me overall. The sounds from the abilities are awesome. Like, you know, I played the sharpshooter right now. Amazing. I played the demon hunter, which is equally amazing. The crunchiness, the grittiness that you get from hitting your abilities are just they're so satisfying. And then you go to the music. The music is serviceable. I'm not saying it's bad, but it's just super forgettable. Like I don't remember. The only thing I remember humming is the stupid transport music. Da, 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 da. But other than that, it's I don't even remember the music. It's just like a carousel. Like you just don't remember it. So that's 6 out of 10.
That reminds me, I'm going to take off one additional point for sound and music. And the reason being is the voice acting to me in the game was kind of cringeworthy. I mean, it was pretty bad. Granted, the spoken language for the game had to be another language from the Eastern continents. and it had to be redubbed for the Western market. I get that, but it almost seems like Amazon purposely hired the cheapest and worst voice actors they could find. and I was really not freaking impressed with the voice acting at all. So I'm knocking them down just a point just for that.
Okay.
All right, that brings us to story, and I'm gonna go ahead and let you kick this one off.
Okay. So for story, I leveled all the way to 50. So I've seen the entire story. Did I read everything? No. So this is kind of take this for what it is, right? I'm leaving another character to actually read all the text. I want to get involved in the story. I actually really, really like the story, and I'm actually going to give it a 7 out of 10. There is some really epic story moments in this game that just I dropped my mouth. They were so good. In World of Warcraft, I never dropped my mouth in any story beat. So this to me was a really big breath of fresh air. And overall, I really enjoyed the story. And that was for someone who wasn't even following it. So
okay. For me, I'm gonna be a lot freaking harder on this. So there story, yeah, there was a story, I guess. It was pretty generic and kind of cheesy. In my opinion, it was your typical stereotype of good versus evil. Yeah. The main story progression for the first 10 hours of the game is pretty boring and completely linear. I'm not a fan of linear, and to be honest, it's hard to take the story with any kind of seriousness at all, and it does nothing to suck you in and make you feel like you're making a difference in this world. I like stories that sit there and actually make me feel like that every quest I'm doing it for a purpose. And this game just doesn't make you feel like you're on this grand freaking purpose. You know, it just kind of says go from point A to point B to point C to point D, and that's just kind of how it is. In the very beginning of the game, in my opinion, you're also you're way overpowered compared to everything else in the world, and even the NPCs themselves always referred to as master or savior and seem to have no other purpose but to blow smoke up your ass. It seems like the whole story progression has no difficulty at all and serves no purpose but to run you through a very boring story that is really hard to get into. And that's just kind of how I felt about it. I'm gonna actually have to land on a 4 for story.
Okay.
This brings us to combat. I'll go ahead and start us off with this one. The bosses that we did encounter, and granted we didn't get into any kind of late game stuff and everything, but the bosses in this whole beginning part just really felt kind of dull, a little lackluster. I understand that PvP opens up at level 26 and consists of short little skirmishes that have like team deathmatch, and team elimination. In these matches, I know that everyone's gear is equalized, making the battles more of a skill versus luck type thing. You know, those who are just better at PvP are going to do better, or those who are lucky. But, you know, everybody's on the same freaking battlefield, you know, with their armor and their weapons all being equalized. Dungeons have a matchmaking system you can queue up for. I know that there's guilds in the game and you can have guild versus guild battles. The combat system itself feels pretty good, but I think the PvP part of it is probably where it really shines in this game. As far as PvE goes, it just kind of feels too easy. It looks good, it feels good, but it's just too easy. So the combat system, from what I experienced, I'm going to fall on a 5.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm gonna go a lot higher. So I would say the combat for me as a tab only player usually, I mean, like, again, I play Diablo Path of Exile, so I'm used to isometric, you know, click style or action style combat. But I really love the combat in this game, because even it being isometric, it feels like you are playing Diablo or Path of Exile. But the sounds, the how some of the abilities feel, and the control that you have when you're pushing your buttons just feels so good. I'm not too particularly fond of the stagger ability, where like as soon as you hit, like, they're kind of like stunned a little bit, but the rotation is definitely fun. And so I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10.
This brings us to gameplay. I'm going to let you go ahead and start us off with that.
This one was kind of hard to score for me. I'm going to include this as leveling. I'm going to include this as end game and all of the activities that you do in the end game loops. So with all of that being said, I'm going to have to probably give this a 7 out of 10 overall, because I feel like the game truly starts at end game for this particular game. Your leveling experience overall is so dull and boring. The only thing that really provides any kind of fun or enjoyment is your class. So God forbid you play a class you don't like, because you're already probably going to play a story you already don't like, on top of quests that you're not going to like. So you have to pick your class. But once you get to end game, the loops, the naval stuff, the chaos abysmal dungeons, the guardian raids, it's really a lot of fun. So yeah, overall 7 out of 10.
Okay. I actually have a lot to say about this. I'll try to keep it as brief as possible, but a lot of my score for this category is going to be based on first impressions. So a change that was made specifically from the Western market version of the game is that you start off at level 10, not level 1. And this change was made to allow characters to choose their subclasses quicker. I kind of wish they didn't do that because of what we explained, what I explained to you when we were actually playing, that, I would just rather have earned my freaking skills as we kind of went along. The initial leveling is very linear. No matter the class chosen, everyone seems to follow the same linear questing path.
Yep.
Quests seem to take only 10 to 30 seconds to complete. Pick up that note over there. Boom, 15,000 experience. Search that junk pile over there. Boom, 20,000 experience. Kill those 3 creatures that are only 5 steps away. Boom, 30,000 experience. The quests actually felt pointless and senseless to me, and I feel that trying to call this an MMORPG for this kind of leveling up phase of the game is an actual disservice to true MMORPGs that are out there who actually do it right. This game seems to always want to bombard the player with instant gratification. There'll always be some kind of easily achievable reward around every corner, and I suppose if you're a player that truly sucks at every game out there, then you, in all your snowflake gloriness, will find this game a breath of fresh air. but if you actually want a freaking challenge, unfortunately you're gonna go through all these freaking hours of having to level up to get to freaking end game, and it's going to not be very exciting, and it's actually going to be downright freaking boring in a lot of cases. I know after the first 10 hours, the game opens up more as you unlock your first ship, and then you can start traveling the open seas and go wherever you want, and you have a lot more freaking freedom in the game. I know that there are cards that you could collect and slot later that give you set bonuses. I know that there are pets you can collect. I know that they have their own stat bonuses that you can re-roll a pet trainer. I know NPCs have reputations, some kind of reputation/favor type system that you can work on. There's a lot crammed into the game to do, to collect and to strive for, but all this is something you can start fiddling. You can't start fiddling with it until you have at least sunk 10 hours into the freaking game. So yeah, you went with a 7 for gameplay. I'm gonna have to land on a 5. I'm gonna go a little bit lower than that.
Okay.
Next we have character creation. I'll go ahead and start us off with this. I thought it was pretty good with lots of options. But in a game where you're looking down at your character from a distance angle, is customizing your character in such detail even needed, since no one will even be that close to you to see the details that you have put into it? There are 5 classes, 15 subclasses. Actually, there's 7 classes now. There's still 5. But they made a male and a female version of certain classes. And then there's 15 subclasses, which give a nice variety. However, there is absolutely no reason for classes to be gender locked, in my opinion, for this type of game. I think that's just freaking foolish. It seems to be a thing with Korean MMOs to want to freaking constantly do gender lock. I don't know why. I really wish they would get out of that, but it is what it is. I don't know I honestly don't know how to score this, because like I said, the character customization is good, but you don't really get to see the character in all its detail. Because I'm really unsure, I'm gonna land right there in the middle. I'm going with a 5.
I'm basing the character customization off of actual customization. Whether you can see it in game is not really relevant to me because I'm just basing the character creator and all of the options you have at your disposal. So for me, I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. I think you have a lot of great options. I think if you were to compare this to, let's say, the two biggest MMOs right now, which is World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy, I think Lost Ark has better customization than both of those games. I mean, World of Warcraft, it's not hard to beat that one. But I mean, Final Fantasy has some pretty good character customization, but I feel like Lost Ark has just a teeny bit better. Yeah, I would definitely a solid 7 out of 10, but it's no BDO for sure.
Well, yeah, but then again, in my opinion, it's not really. It is, but it isn't an MMO. You know, it's still more. It leans more to that Diablo side to me, you know, and for an isometric type game, I don't think you really need that kind of character customization. That, again, we're each allowed to have our opinions. Opinions make the world go around, so it is what it is. Next, that brings us to population. You go ahead and go first.
Let me give you my score then right off the bat, and I'll explain. I'm going to give the population score a 9 out of 10. So as far as population, I mean, it just came out a couple of weeks ago, so it's still fresh and for a lot of people, you know, so that's a reason why. But the fact that you have no reason to group up with people, what does it matter if you see all the people in the world? Like it doesn't matter. So I feel like, yes, population's there. You see people, you feel like you're playing with other people, but you're not really playing with other people. Let's just be honest. So yeah, 9 out of 10. You see people.
Okay. I think it's very important to mention here that we are not dealing with a fresh new IP. This game has been out since 2019 in the European continents and has done very well for itself in both the Korean and Russian markets. I think this helped a lot with the game being very much anticipated over here in the West, and why it broke records on Steam for its day one population. Would the game have done as well if it wasn't already popular on the other side of the world? Regardless, there is a huge population playing. There's no denying that. I'm going to fall right there with you. I'm so close to giving it a perfect 10 for population, but then again, it's that question on whether or not would it done just as well if this was a fresh, brand new IP address that we were all seeing for the first time, with the hype had been that freaking that big. So I'm gonna knock off 1 point, and I'm gonna go with a 9 also.
Okay.
This brings us to UI and menus. I'll go ahead and kick us off with this. As far as the menus go, in the settings and all that, they are laid out very nice. Everything that you could possibly want to find is just very easy to find. I have no complaints with how everything was in the settings. As far as the UI goes, you start off at level 10. I've already mentioned this before with your abilities on the bar. When the game initially released in the East, you started off as level 1, and you had to work your way through the levels, gradually unlocking those abilities. Something very typical of most MMORPGs, and something that I personally like, as it allows me to learn my new abilities as I earned them. Having all the abilities just handed to me kind of took away that feeling that I earned them. And trying to learn what each of these icons were, it was a little more confusing and overwhelming than it needed to be. Personally, I kind of wish that we would have received the game in the same way that the Eastern continents received the game when they first got it. Overall, for the UI and the menus, I'm going to fall on a 8.
Wow. So we have the same score. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 as well. I think there is a little bit of confusingness for me personally. That's why it's not a perfect score. So 8 out of 10.
All right. And that brings us to chat spam. And I'll let you go ahead and kick this off, since you've kind of played a lot longer and you've gotten a lot deeper into the game than I have.
Day one, we had no gold seller spam chat, whatever. It was actually like people talking in general chat and just memeing and putting little emojis and stuff like that. It wasn't until the game went actually live, and then you saw all the gold spammers and stuff like that. But Amazon put up a notice and said that they were going to get rid of those people, that they're aware of these people, to just, report them as soon as you see them. And now, like when I log on, I don't see them on my server.
All right, and I have not played as many hours as you, but I saw no spam whatsoever in the time that we were freaking playing. Nothing, not a gold spammer, nothing. So I have no choice but to give them a perfect score of a perfect 10 for that freaking category.
Yep. Awesome.
All right, and this brings us to our final category, and it's probably our most important freaking category, which is cash shop and pay to win. I have not gone as deep into the game as you have. However, I did spend a lot of time watching some YouTube videos about this subject in particular and read a lot of Reddit posts and everything. So you can pay real money to buy royal crystals and trade those in for plain crystals, which you can then trade in for extra character slots, revive items, potions, and other things that speed up the crafting, gathering, and the NPC smoozing mechanics. There are other areas in the game, like your fortress, where you can throw a party for 50 of your guildmates, but setting up the event takes a lot of resources and a lot of time to get them, all of which can be achieved by spending real-world cash to buy the before mentioned crystals to help speed things along. Some people would lean towards that this is just pay for convenience, which I don't have a problem with pay for convenience. However, this is not pay for convenience. Pay for convenience to me is buying an extra character slot, or maybe extra bag slots, or something that's not giving you any kind of stats or it's benefiting your character in any way, shape, or form. However, if I'm allowed to speed up my crafting and my gathering and everything else, this allows me to freaking make money a lot freaking quicker, which is an unfair advantage compared to other people who are not forking out the money. So I do think this leans a little bit more towards pay to win than it does towards the pay for convenience argument. It's a questionable, shady area, and since it's right there in the middle, that's where I'm going to fall on my score. I'm going to fall on a 5 for cash shop pay to win.
So I guess let me go ahead and just say with the cash shop, I have not really looked into the cash shop. I've seen a couple of videos. I understand, from a lot of the people that have put thousands of hours into this game, that there is definitely a pay to win element, and I am aware of that. I am not a fan of pay to win, but I also understand that this is a free to play game. You don't need to pay any money to pay a subscription. Now, would I rather pay a subscription to play Lost Ark? Absolutely, if it didn't mean pay to win. The only thing I can say, and this will be my score, is a 3 out of 10. The only reason why I'm not going to score to 1 out of 10 is because at least in the cash shop, you can't buy an end game piece of gear. What you buy is a crystal that ends up being, I think, one of the 5 pieces that you would need at tier 3 to upgrade your gear faster. So that would be my score, 3 out of 10.
Okay. So I added up my scores and I came up with a total of 69.
Okay. I added up my score, and mine is a 72.
Adding those totals together, we came up with a score of 141. And dividing it by 2, because there's 2 of us playing, gives us a final total of 70.5, which gives us a final letter grade of... With a grade of C, this game is pretty average. It's not a great game, but it's not a horrible game neither. There are just better games out there that you can try, but then again, there are also worse games. But if you're looking for something new, and you have already tried a majority of the other games out there, then give this one a go. Who knows? This just might become your new favorite if you can overlook some of its non-game-breaking flaws. Anyways, that's it for our ×2 review for this game. We hope you enjoyed it and found it informative, and we will catch you again on the next ×2 review.